Hello, my name is Alan. My pronouns are he, him, and today I am facilitating the first of a new series, probably a bit shorter because we're a bit short time in February, of the cluster. This is my gaming development, which might be out in a month because that's entirely in my power. I don't rely on anybody else for doing that. So yeah, this is a game that is following up from a season that we ran back in December. Um, if you want to see how the characters get to this point, then you need to go back and check those out. I've reminded the players of the threads I think we have on the table, so maybe those will emerge in play. But I'm not going to bore you, our multitudes of viewership, with that. I'm simply going to say that this session, like all my online sessions, was organised as part of the Open Hearth gaming community's monthly calendar. If you don't know about Open Hearth, you really do need to search Open Hearth gaming community in Google and find out about us and come and play with us because we'd love to have a chance to play with you. So we have a fourth player who has some time zone challenges and who may or may not be able to join us today, but time will tell. We will integrate them if and when they arrive. But I think that we will start after the opening titles of season 2 of the cluster. We start with the cruise ship, the Fortitude, emerging from the ring gate in the Splendiferous System, where one of our characters originated, and then underneath, 4 weeks earlier, and we cut to probably one of the cramped cabins aboard the Fortitude, where Nestor Green and Dr. Rillisk are standing, looking down at a surviving member of a cargo carrier, of which you will find more in season 1. So, Dr. Rillisk, you're our thinker. Nestor, you're our doer. So, Nestor, what do you do? Because I tend to think that you're quite swift to act. So I'm happy for you to go first in this. What do we see you doing with the survivor?
I when the moment we found her, I do the necessary first aid stuff. I'm a soldier. I imagine that I know at least some kind of battlefield medicine stuff to like, are you alive? You're alive? Okay. Are you in immediate need of medical attention? No. Okay. But you are in need of medical attention, so I take her, get her to some place that's kind of comfortable, and then call for Dr. Rillisk because I think she is a doctor and I don't know if she has a medical degree. I've never asked. And while I'm waiting for her, I'm just doing the first aid thing, like put some Healy foam on the burn wounds that the survivor has and get her up with fluids or some stuff like that. But I can
And
only do rudimentary
yeah,
things, right?
and I think that's where we will see. I think we talked about there being some kind of tattoo that identified her as a
Mhm.
member of RGA Intelligence.
Mhm.
You've seen that
Mhm.
tattoo before. Um,
Oh,
Dr.
wow.
Rillisk, what do you do? What do you say? What do you ask?
Well, there's the TV show cuts to away from the body being brought into the med bay, and then they're hooked up because you never have to see them getting all hooked up to all the machines and everything. They're stabilized, and Rillisk will bring this person around, I suppose, and yeah, I'm not sure. Is there an interrogation mechanic here? Like, I don't
Um,
know. Like,
I mean,
what?
to be honest, I'm very happy here to not do this mechanically.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very happy for you to tell me what you learn from this survivor, because I'd like to give you a thread into where this narrative goes. I
Yeah,
mean, I'll happily fill the gap if you don't want to do that, but
yeah. Well, we pitched a bunch of ideas in the chat. Um, I think that um, this RGA agent wakes up thrashing, uh, and then sees, Nesta and really staring back at them. And her first words are, "Did Mantis send you?" Like, like
yeah,
you can't trust them. they kill everybody they kill everybody they deal with, you know.
I like that.
And yeah, she's we didn't define anything about this person, did we?
Nothing
Really?
at all.
No.
We literally cut our cliffhanger at the point where you
Yeah.
found her.
I'm gonna say it is a woman with a shaved, stubbled head, and like the signs of small augments, perhaps, in a skull, like data ports and stuff like that. Standard issue for many RGA Intelligence. And yeah, she goes on to tell us that she's RGA Internal Affairs, basically, like, tracking down a rogue operation in the a Black Ops Intel group, and that that they've been going outside of the RGA to hire muscle and to make connections. That they're behind a series of attacks across the cluster, and Mantis is the agent who's the linchpin of the entire rogue cell.
Nestor, we've talked, as Will suggested, between seasons about where we might go with this, and we know that we're heading to Snagg, the system, the harsh system where you were born and brought up. Do you want to hint? This is an option. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if you'd like to give us a name that you get from this operative on the Snagg.
My idea here would be that maybe Mantis, Captain, whatever his name was, I defined it, I should know, but I don't. Maybe he had a safe house or something on one of the Snagg worlds where he has, well, probably that would be the name that I'd give you, the place where his safe house is. It's, of course, probably still guarded, but it would be really a thing to get in there, and that might be where all the information is that we need. Yeah.
So the Snaggs, who are the syndicate that control crime, well, they control the planet, really, the system, and criminal enterprise across the system.
Yeah.
They provide a safe house for Mantis.
Yeah, I imagine something like now that you're saying the whole criminal thing. I mean, they might rent out not just to Mantis, but to everybody who has shady business, something like the Tortuga, old Tortuga for pirate thingies. And since I'm not feeling super creative now, let's call it New Tortuga.
New Tortuga.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's instant shorthand for what we can expect.
Maybe because it was Golvan, wasn't it? Golvan and the Whisper, who,
right, Golvan.
And that was like Tortuga was their safe house on Snaggs World, off the radar, like you say. Maybe that's where Agent Mantis, whoever Mantis is, had a dead drop meeting with them. Like that's because it's a safe house off the radar. It's not on the RGA books. Like Agent Mantis may be coming to Snaggs World to speak to Gorgon, but they don't know that we sabotaged Gorgon's ship.
So you're running ahead of the game.
Yeah. This is our chance to maybe like get eyes on the people behind the Whisper.
One last question, and I want to cut forward to Arrival, an introduction of this season's new character, or one of them. What happens to the survivor? Do they lapse into some kind of coma, which means that they won't be able to report to the RGA and you just drop them off?
I think that they're burned. They don't know who to trust. Like they should have been safe on that ship. That somebody in the RGA was supposed to pick them up, but instead the Whisper came and killed everybody on board apart from her, and that she doesn't dare go back to Snaggs World. They know her face. They know who she is now. And so like maybe we hand her off, like as another ship.
Well, can I suggest something? She goes to ground, and she is now your handler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I was curious because we had a very high-paying job.
You did.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
did.
Yeah,
You,
did
you,
we
you,
get paid?
you
Did we get
did.
paid?
You are currently breaking even. Your
Ooh.
cred is at 2.
Wow.
So perhaps there is a person with an RGA black budget available to give us a job.
I don't think I want to get into that because she is the surviving member of a crew who's going to go to ground.
Yeah.
She will seek to make contact with people within the RGA, but I don't think she's in a position to provide you with a budget at this point.
Yeah, but we need someone to pay us for this whole thing.
I think there's a promise of we'll see you all right. I just
Yeah,
need to contact head office.
Yeah, that
People I
was
trust.
that was all I was
Yeah.
going for was
Yeah.
because you make a game that's about getting paid. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it turns
Yes.
everything into let's get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What she will do is to give you some access codes, which will mean that when you arrive in Snagg, you will not have to pay for refueling or resupply.
Oh.
Yeah. So the profit you made on the last job remains intact. And I've also cleared all stress from any of your equipment or you in the intervening month. But I am very keen to then say, yesterday, orbiting Snagg, ... And this is the first time we see our new character. Paul, do you want to introduce Chris? I've forgotten his second name.
McPatrick.
Chris McPatrick to us. When do we first see him?
Yeah, so Chris McPatrick is quite an old person, without a shadow of a doubt. And you see him in quite an old, antiquated vac suit, which probably links into his home system, which there's no planets in it, and their highest technological advance is radios and petrols. Yeah, it's a very, very old spacer suit. Yeah, that's Chris McPatrick.
I mean, what's interesting is those spacer suits are better than typical civilian suits because they've been used in them a long time. But yeah, I think probably the Iron Wreath where you come from is a survivor of the collapse of the Ringgate system and fallen back on chemical fuels, but is good at space. The character you're replacing was an investigator in that system. Now, I notice you are also an investigator, but you're a tactician alongside that. Were you Jax's boss? Did you know our previous character, or is this simply coincidence?
Me and Jax were investigators. I trained him a long, long time ago. Unless somebody tells me now Jax was even older than my character.
No.
And we are part of an investigatory team. There is no sort of government system, but yeah, I'm now sort of more into the sort of Pinkertons sort of line of work, tracking things down, recovery. Yeah.
Right. That's great. Thank you. And I think we'll leave Jax's departure as a mystery, but we know he's been replaced. Probably he was so successful in season 1 that somebody offered him a film contract and the actor disappeared to be replaced by a very different one. Though I have to say, given the picture, it does look like Ian McKellen is slumming it in a TV series. But there you go. So fine. Orbiting Snagg. What's the plan? And yeah, we'll go for that RGA agent, your handler at the minute as Agent Wasp. What's the plan? Nestor, you're a local. You may not be in entirely good standing, given what happened in your backstory, but what are you suggesting as a way to move on?
Yeah, look, I don't know this new Tortuga place. My crash wasn't there. We were there for a couple of cleanup jobs, shit like that. So I know basic layouts of that, but I don't have a lot of contacts. I think we should go and maybe figure out where what was his name again? I forget. I made him up a name and I forget it
are we
constantly.
Golvan?
Galvin.
Golvan.
Golvan.
Yes. Yeah.
Because this
So
is an interesting system. You know, one survivable and several lethal worlds.
yeah.
That survivable world has a local tech level of steam power, steel, and telegraphy.
Wow.
So
Quite
New
advanced.
Tortuga off the landing field is going to be the Wild West.
Yep.
Or some kind of steampunky environment, depending on which way you want to lean.
Yeah, I think it's Wild West is pretty much it.
Because I do like the idea of having to find paper records of some stuff for a change, rather than just cracking a data system. But you know, we'll see how that plays. So
it's Wild West, isn't it?
It's the Wild West.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining, unless you want to, anybody want to scene with somebody else before we embark on our inverted commas plot?
I'm trying to think of a good fictional framing for our new crew member for joining us. He's an investigator. Jax is called off. The Iron Wreath what are they? A group of smugglers?
The Iron Wreath is a spacer kind of. The Iron Wreath system is
the Horizon.
The Horizon is I think a smugglers and fixers. So I wonder whether Chris has been contracted by the Horizon. That Jax has made that connection. Because Jax knows, doesn't he, that the Snaggs have been trying to elbow into some trade, because there were people connected to both the Snaggs and Horizon on Budding 2.
So would Chris take a job from perhaps because we could bring the Horizon in as an interested party here. You know, they're under threat from this RGA Snagg thing as well. You know, on a different end of it.
Because some of the kind of plot, the fictional hooks we've got for the Horizon is that they want to extend their power. Is their target Splendiferous or the RGA? Gaining control of the Snaggs would probably bring power over the Splendiferous system with it. So they've maybe been elbowing against the Snaggs, but now the Snagg RGA.
Who wants the Splendiferous system, honestly? I mean, if you can't have the RGA.
Clearly a good place to hide.
Might I suggest that, I mean, you know, feel free to say no, Paul, of course, but that perhaps Chris is, you know, Nestor's just said, I don't have many local contacts here, but perhaps Chris McPatrick has been on a job here in Splendiferous and is therefore someone that Jax has put us in contact with to be man on the ground, you know, and we can.
Yeah, well, you know, I have been here for some period of time, tracking down rogue hydrocarbon shipments coming from Iron Wreath to Splendiferous. You know, suddenly smuggling fuel. Clearly, it's a slight technological advantage over steam. So, you know, got to keep it at bay.
Okay. So
our man McPatrick will meet us at the docks, I believe. So I suggest we start there.
What I'm seeing then is the shuttle landing at New Tortuga, at the landing field, and a meeting in reception, so to speak, in customs, where the RGA have a ground station, which is simply about, you know, them having control of travel and trade to an extent. And what I think I need you to do, because I have now altered the gear rules, what I need each of you to do is to select 6 items from that available to you that you have. Those are your 6 items that you possess. and you are going to choose 3 of those to take off the ship. So you use the drop round. I mean, don't feel, Nestor and Rillisk, bound to the 2 that you had last time. I've wiped the slate clean. But select the 6 items you possess.
Okay.
And then put a tick under the C column for those that you are carrying off the ship.
Okay.
The RGA isn't interested in technological transfer. It knows that Snagg doesn't have the technology to recreate much of the stuff that you have picked up over the years. So there's no problem at customs for you to worry about. And if there was, the Snaggs would probably have smoothed the customs routes and/or Horizon and/or our putative Pinkerton agency.
So just to confirm, choose 6 of the items from that list on row 100.
Yep.
And then...
Oh, sorry, yeah, just use the drop-downs which draw from there. The drop-downs on row 35 are built on those lists that are do not delete at the bottom.
Yes, just because you said choose 6 and there's more than 6 items there.
Yeah, but there's only 6 slots on row 35 to 41.
It's only 3 slots as far as I can see.
Ah, I have a horrible feeling that you did not pick up on the fact that there is a new character keeper link.
No, I did not. No, I did not.
Okay, here you go. Here you go.
There we go.
Yeah, because you probably don't even have a column marked C.
No, I was thinking, like, what are you talking about, Alan?
And you probably didn't see Ian McCallum. That was my hint that I had the wrong character keeper.
I have my notes, the Zoom call, everything up. I can barely see what's up on the character keeper.
Yeah, everything has come across.
Cool. There we go. Great. All right. Perfect.
Does that make more sense now? My apologies.
No, my bad.
And I do need one thing for Chris McPatrick to do, and that is to, once he's got his 6 items of gear plus what's in the ship's locker, obviously, go down to row 52 where factions are. You have 3 debts and 1 favor to distribute across the available factions. You will all be independent of them at the moment. It's just where the debts and 3 debts, 1 favor. Oh, God, fancy that. The Snaggs owe you a favor. I mean, why wouldn't they? I've also given you 2 XP just to make up for that you're coming late, Paul.
What kind of weapon do I want to take? I mean, I'm running around in my power armor, so I just can't take the big rifle, right? Because
yeah, absolutely. Well, remember, this is the 6 from that long list.
Yeah.
These are the 6 things you possess.
These are the 6.
3 of them are going to leave the ship.
Okay. Yeah, the power armor, the high-powered rifle, and I'm debating whether to take the respirator, the blade, or the Simpack.
I don't think you'll need the respirator.
Okay. So, do I want to have a blade, or do I want to have a Stimpack?
I want you to have a blade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm taking the blade.
2-handed.
I mean, yeah, why be subtle?
It's kind of glaive across your shoulders.
Yeah. I mean, I have to use the other with finesse, so.
No,
oh wait, it's a 2-hand. Maybe I'll take the other blade. in my because I can't have everything be 2-handed. I'll take the simple blade. That's fine.
Fine.
It's better to threaten people with,
That's the cutting blade.
Yeah.
And then so we've got McPatrick's a shotgun, paramilitary armor, and the camo poncho. I'm seeing power armor and an advanced rifle and a simple blade. And I'm seeing a stun pistol, engineering kit, and something else.
Yeah. It's tricky because engineering and electronics kit being separate pieces of kit, for example, right?
Oh no, the engineering kit now covers both.
Okay, so I don't need the electronics kit. Perfect.
Machine and electronics maintenance and repair. Only you have access to that.
Yeah. Because obviously you'd want to take the stuff that you could do, like the thing that makes your character the engineer, you'd want to take that with you, right? But like, and then if it's two different things, you end up just walking around like fully loaded, right?
No, that's why I deliberately brought one that
I will bring
engineer, you get the pair.
A med kit then. I'll bring a pistol, a med kit, because it seems this is a low-tech world, right? So I don't need the data tablet, and the drone might draw too much attention being a artifact from another world. And the VR glasses are cool, but are purely engineering based, which
Fair enough.
kind of cool, aren't they? Because I could walk around with VR glasses on, and then while everyone else, like add a cog to them, and everyone thinks that they're local. Make them steampunky. Yeah, but I think medkit, pistol, engineering kit. That's the job for this mission.
Enough said.
I don't think you have to worry about looking like a local on New Tortuga, because
people, it's an open
it's
port,
an open,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's an open port. Everybody looks different, I guess.
Yeah, and I suppose that's what I'm interested in, is I want each of you to tell me something, sights, sounds, smells, whatever you fancy, that kind of characterize New Tortuga. So Nestor, how does, tell me something we see.
I think what we see is people from a variety of different backgrounds, like somebody with cyberware in their advanced cyberware in their heads or eyes. And then we see a person who basically wears a leather jerkin and a sturdy staff. And they have some sort of commerce with each other. Everybody looks a little rundown, to be honest. So there's even the cyberware guy has one of his cyberware things seems to be a bit on the fritz, like blinks weirdly. Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Rillisk, tell me something else that characterizes New Tortuga as we get our first, as the three of you step out from the RGA building at the landing field.
The RGA basically like controls this. I'm getting the impression that the RGA in many worlds, without they're sort of like a patron. They kind of like they provide you with a spaceport, and it allows you the access from the rest of the cluster. And I would say think that in like everyone that we've seen so far has been like quite clean and tidy, and like well maintained and everything. It's the complete opposite on New Tortuga. It's like the guy, like the people running it, are like smoking, their eyes slightly glazed, with like stims or something like that. It's a real all of the rigid structures of the RGA have been worn away by their proximity to the Snaggs, basically.
They've gone native, haven't they?
They've gone native, yeah, and that means that everything is. But who knows what you might find at an RGA port? The rules, all of the things, those laws. Just whoever can pay them, I guess.
Fair enough. And finally, Chris, tell me something that characterizes New Tortuga.
It's by the sea. In fact, it's about 90% by the sea. Very little land. Yeah. So you got all the smell of the sea, and let's have it quite Caribbean-like, just like Tortuga.
What makes it survivable then? Because it's not a garden world, so not quite the Caribbean. What's dangerous about this in terms of its environment, Chris?
Harsh stellar light. So while it looks very, very good, it's immense amounts of UV.
Fine. Hard light and UV. I go with that. Fair enough. And what do you need to survive that? Nestor?
Some kind of sunscreen, I guess. At least you need to wear clothing and either a helmet or some heavy duty sunscreen on your face and your everything is exposed.
There's also that transition from the landing field out into Tortuga proper. That sense of you go from artificial lighting to this bright light. And of course, we're going to see all three of you in turn putting on some rather cool aviators.
And like hooded cloaks and stuff. Yeah, great.
Fine. That gives me a nice picture of Tortuga to work with. And Chris, where do you take them for a discreet conversation about what you're going to do next?
It's got to be a local bar. It's got to be a local bar.
Is it a hive of scum and villainy?
It is. You know, we need to get out of range of the gate authority. You know, they've got high-tech listening devices in that port. Let's go somewhere where we won't be observed.
Okay, so you're in a booth. It's dimly lit. There is probably some very low-grade entertainment playing or visible just over your shoulders. So how does this conversation start, Rillisk? What's, you've got your man on the ground engaged now. What's...
Well, Mr. McPatrick, I'm glad that you could meet us here. We're in need of, well, your particular skills, I believe. Nestor has theirs, and I glance down at the heavy rifle, probably leaning against the table, and I have mine. But Jack, our mutual friend Jack, says that you have your own skills, and what we need is an investigator to help us find out where a rogue RGA agent is meeting a pirate crew that operated out of New Tortuga until recently. And in fact, and she looks down at her chronometer, quickly does some calculations, that may operate again soon in about one cycle, depending on how fast they are at getting those spare parts. But because that's our objective here, right, is that we need to find either evidence of Agent Mantis and their operations here on Snagg's world with the Snagg family, or we need to find the person themselves. And I think that the pitch was, in theory, that they're going to come themselves, but we don't know where in New Tortuga they would be meeting the Whisper. So it's
there's somewhere there is a Snagg. I think I wrote down Snagg provided Mantis with a safe house.
Yeah, somewhere here,
and the clock is ticking because Captain Golvan and the Whisper are behind you, but they're unlikely to be weeks behind you.
Yes. It really depends on how successfully they manage to bully the locals into helping them.
And largely, colleagues, that will depend on how many six minuses you roll. So let's.
So yes, the Snaggs, they run everything here. Yes, the RGA, even the RGA seems to have fallen prey to their ways. But somewhere on this fine settlement of cluster civilization here on this benighted rock, no offense, Nestor, they have a safe house.
Yeah.
Now we need to find that safe house among all of the other places here that people don't want you to look in.
Well, I'm just your guy then. Just your guy indeed. I know plenty of Snaggs. We should be able to get some information of where this safe house is, so you can keep ahead of whoever's behind you.
What we know is that Galvan, the captain of the Whisper, has a safe house here. So it might be the same thing.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Mantis and Galvan are working together, so that might be a starting point.
Oh, yes, but do you know where the safe house is?
I know it's here. I know it's in this place.
Yes. That's what I'm asking, Mr. McPatrick.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Well, at least you've narrowed it down to one of 6 planets.
Well, I mean, that's why we need an investigator, right? I mean, if you know somebody I can punch the information out of, I'm pretty sure I can do that.
You are in a target-rich environment in old Tortuga. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know, but some people object to being punched. So if I just go punch random people at one point or another, somebody will come back to me, and I don't think that's a very, very good strategy unless somebody else.
I've never seen anyone come back to you after you punch them, Nestor.
No, but their friends might. And I'm just one guy, okay. And if they come in force, well.
So just so we're all on the same page. What I'm thinking, I'm hearing is that Captain Golvan and his crew have a relationship with the Snaggs, and they count New Tortuga as a safe harbor.
Yeah.
From the surviving RGA agent, who is now your handler, Agent Wasp, we're calling her, you know that Mantis has a safe house,
Oh, okay.
presumably provided by the Snaggs, somewhere in New Tortuga.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a Snaggs
So
World
we
is
can
a
narrow it
safe.
down a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Snaggs World is a safe harbor in that they
Yeah.
can come here, but there is a specific location somewhere on Snaggs World, perhaps in New Tortuga itself, which I imagine is a sort of sprawling landing fields and shanty towns and stuff around it. Because it's
Floating shanty towns.
floating. Yes, yeah,
Floating shanty towns.
flotilla shanty towns, flotilla
Oh,
favelas.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I like that.
And everybody, with like UV, like thick UV, cheap stuff, like slapped over their exposed skin and rags.
Sometimes
and stuff
just
like
mud.
yeah. Really like wrinkles a nose and the waiter comes over with a load of mud slapped over his face.
And some of the kind of street gangs here will use pigments to color that mud. We got war paint, guys.
We do, yeah. So it occurs to me that when you arrive at your destination settlement, each crew member makes a downtime move, keeping their downtime modifier in mind. Has a surely put your ear to the ground move? I don't know if you want to do those.
I'm very happy to do that. I wasn't going to bother with the refresh and all the rest because I've just cleared your stress. Enough time has passed. But yeah, if you want to make use of those downtime moves, find a friendly face, put your ear to the ground, check the biz, or cut loose. What are we thinking?
I was gonna because the investigator move is crack it, get into something, right?
Yeah,
and the
you need to have fictional positioning to have somewhere to get into.
Yeah.
And likewise, the tactician, you need to have fictional positioning to get in, so to speak.
I think because I've been here for some period of time, I'm going to go with put your ear to the ground.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I tell you what, I will let you roll with advantage. So you're rolling plus cred, which at the moment is 2, because that's your kind of credit rating. So roll plus 2, but roll 3 dice and take the top 2, because I'm going to give you the benefit of having been here a while, being our man in Tortuga.
We're still on roll for your party. The other one's still
We
not
are,
been fixed.
yeah. I still.
Not your fault.
No,
not
I know.
Your fault.
I know. So I'm afraid so. Nestor's dice still sit there in the off chance that they roll better than.
I've got a 1, a 6, and a 3.
So that's 9 plus 2 is 11. Nice. So on a 7 plus, it says, tell the GM what you're interested in finding out, and they will provide you with some specific, relevant, and interesting information in response. I might even answer a follow-up question. And then on 10 plus, down below, say how you've spent time, what you've spent time doing gives the additional opportunity to refresh, fix, or heal. None of those are relevant in the current setup as our start of season special. So ask me a question.
Where do the Snaggs drink in New Tortuga? I mean, how quickly do you want to move this? I mean, because I could easily say, where's the Snaggs safe house?
We've got a full 3 hours.
Okay.
Or now we've got 2 hours and a quarter. So I'd like to see this develop as a one-shot in effect. So I prefer to keep us here for the session, if only because our 4th player is only here for the one-shot and has designed.
I think where they drink, because then that should then lead on.
Fine. What do you want the place to be called?
The Squally Cosmonaut.
The Squally Cosmonaut. And what I'd like to suggest is that it's Snagg soldiers. It's the street level operators, yeah, rather than us cutting straight to some high level. Okay. It's the Squally Cosmonaut is where they drink. And that's the what cosmonaut? Squally.
What's that word? I've never heard that.
Oh, go on.
Squally, it's a storm.
Oh, okay,
You
okay.
know, the sea can be squally.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I've seen
Although,
it
you know,
written.
my use of the English language is probably less than yours, Sabine. So
I,
don't.
No,
I'm not entirely sure squally is a word. I think squall is a word, but the
I know
squally is
I know
So
the
like,
it's
word
squally.
squall.
yeah,
There we
well,
go.
Yeah. I
yeah.
didn't. I've now that I've seen it written, I know what it means, but I've never heard that before.
Because I read the comment as the what? Cosmonaut question mark. We're there.
If you say it in a pirate accent, it sounds a lot better.
Which
Go
is to
ahead.
say a Suffolk one.
Yeah, so we're greeted by you know, the person out front. Hey, welcome to the squally cosmonaut, me hearties.
I guess let's not go too far down the caricature, but all the spirit of pirateness without those appalling accents. So Squally Cosmonaut is where the Snag soldiers hang out. Nestor, what do you want to spend some time doing here?
I think I will go and look for a friendly face because I'm
Okay.
from this place, and I think I might find someone from my crush or someone I
You
knew
might. So let's go find a
before.
friendly face.
So
Roll
yeah,
plus cred, which is roll plus 2. I'm not going to give you advantage because you've just arrived.
yeah, okay, that's fine. With what am I rolling with cred, right? Okay,
2d6
cool.
plus cred at 2, yeah.
Okay, then let's see. Wow, it's a 10. Look at that.
See, this dice room doesn't hate you all.
Maybe it's just this series that doesn't hate me, or maybe it's just has had some time to recover.
On 7 plus, name them and agree their role in the settlement. So who is this, and what are they? What's their kind of what do they do here?
I think it's actually one of my creche-mates. I think it's Nestor Red. She's yeah, well, we grew up together. She's basically kind of my sister, and she's working for the security forces here. She's been recruited for that, which is quite an achievement for someone from the
When you say
creche.
security forces here, is this the Snaggs? Is
Yeah,
this the
sure.
RGA? Or
No,
is this
that's clearly the Snaggs that or maybe it's the RGA that has hired out some of the Snaggs from here. Yeah, it's probably that because she was quite good, so she'd been hired out, but she's still here doing security work, which means basically shaking down new arrivals for tariffs and duties and anything that might be worth something, right?
Well, make a note of her as a
Mhm.
friendly face. There's a slot on the cluster
Yeah.
tab for friendly faces. So by all means, put Nesta Red in there.
Oh, okay.
And put a she
Where
her
is
just so we don't forget.
where where
It's
is that?
row
Oh, here.
62, yeah.
Found it, yes. And I'm on the
So we've got a friendly
bottom.
face, and the advantage of a friendly face is that you have advantage to compel or convince them. Dr.
Mhm.
Rillisk, what about you?
um, bu- 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 um, I I don't have any conditions still, do I?
No, I've cleared
No.
everything.
All for To be honest, I think I'm okay not taking a move because I don't feel like any of the flashbacks ones make particular sense.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think they do in this as a
And
kickoff to a season.
yeah, and I think the two moves that have already been rolled are the ones that make sense in terms of progressing the story, you know?
I mean, there is a flashback to your time in ring space. What's really going on with?
Yeah, I kind of feel like we did that with the RGA agent,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's true. Maybe that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, fair enough. Let's play it that way. Okay. And so with a friendly face in New Tortuga and the hangout for some low-level snags, where do we go next? Let me go first to Nesta.
I mean,
Where do you want your next scene and who's in it?
I think I want to say A, hi to my sister, and B, talk to her about what we're trying to find, right?
Are you there on your own or do you take your friends?
Depends on, I mean,
Because you framed the scene.
yeah, I think I go alone because that's my sister, right? And I probably and that means that I can't talk in the a thicker Snagg accent than I usually do, because when I worked with Galvin, they were all making fun of me for that, and I realized that it's not good, and I won't try to portray that. But it's kind of like, I want to talk to her without these two guys who are both quite sophisticated, right? And I think that, no, I don't want to hear Dr. Rillisk hear me like talk like that.
Okay. And where do we frame this scene then? Where do you meet Nestor Red? Do you call her Red? You know, because
Yeah,
Nestor talking to Nestor is going to be tricky.
yeah. No, I'm
So
calling
this
her
is
Red.
green
She's
and
calling
red.
me.
She
Yeah,
calls you green, you
yeah,
call her red.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where is this scene then?
It's probably because we've made some money, right? So I think I'll invite her to one of the nicer places here, right? So it's not got space rats running around.
Yeah. And they're not even on the skewers.
Yeah,
So
and the beer is not particularly watered down.
and I think red kind of sits on the opposite side, and of course she's got to be red hair, doesn't she?
Yeah,
Stubbly
yeah,
red hair.
maybe.
And says, "Well, hey Green, this is fancy. You must be, that all that stuff with Golvan must have worked out, because
Ah,
that's what the last time you met her was when you were still
yeah.
working for Golvan.
That was when I was recruited for
Yeah.
By Golan. Yeah, well, kind of not, but I I didn't like some of the things he was doing, and that I cut ties with him.
Oh wow! And you're looking out and looking at the plates in front of you and the drinks. So this is freelance.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Wow.
working freelance now. We made it. We had a good job. Actually, Galvin though, he might not be happy with me, because you see this shiny armor thing that I'm wearing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I really paid him for that.
Oh, Greeny, nothing changes.
Uh, you know, sometimes you gotta take what you can.
Because my recollection is that out of your past, as I remember, they want you back. Govan wants you back. And so why are you here? Because he's still, he's got out of the mercenary business. He's now a respectable cross-cluster trader.
He is not. He's definitely not.
Yeah, well, I don't think any of us believe that either.
No,
But
last time I saw him, he was just pushing around one of these flower settler guys.
so, what brings you back? It must be something
Yeah,
that needs to bring you here
yeah.
because he could be here any day.
I know. I've got to get. The thing is, we know he's involved with some really shady, but possibly really lucrative stuff.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah, so I'm looking for he has a hideout here. I know that. But I don't
Okay.
know where it is, because last time I was here, I didn't tell this to my friends, but last time I was here and he brought me, I was dead drunk.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't know where it is. I would know maybe one of the rooms where I woke up, but nothing much else.
So, gesturing at the spread in front of you. So this isn't just for old time's sake, is it, Red? Is it Green?
Well, I mean, look, if I were here just to chill out, which I wouldn't be, honestly, because there are a lot of nicer places in this galaxy. But it's nice to meet you again. And if you don't have anything for me, that's fine. But if
Um,
you do, I mean,
okay.
creche-mates, right?
Okay. So, I think in order to know whether she's willing to talk to you, I think this is
Yeah,
convince or compel. It
I know.
sounds like you're opting for encouraging, charming, pacifying. It doesn't sound like you're wanting to actively deceive her. It doesn't sound like you're
Oh,
coming on intimidatory. So let's have you roll with
no.
sincere.
Oh, great.
That's not
Um,
something that we see Nestor, the
No.
side of Nestor often?
No, I should, but I still have to use shady instead of sincere, but I can't be shady for my anyway. How do I use cred in these situations?
Okay, if you spend cred,
Mhm.
then that gives you advantage on a roll, because in effect you're using your credit rating to fund this spread.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but remember you've got advantage because she's
I
a
already
friendly
got
face.
advantage. Exactly. That's so I
So
don't
that's
need
as
to
good as it
spend cred.
gets.
Okay, that's as good as it gets. Fine.
3 dice, take the top 2.
Yeah.
Add
Okay.
your best sincerity.
My best sincerity is 0, but I've got an 8. So
There you go. Okay, so on an 8 on that move, what we see is 7+. They'll do what you want as long as it won't put them at risk of physical, emotion, or social harm. You'll need to do something else before they agree, such as sweeten the deal, demonstrate any threat, no, substantiate any lie, no, accept that their cooperation comes with a complication. Yeah, I think you need to sweeten the deal because look, you know, you know what it's like here. You know what the Snaggs are like.
yeah.
I'm gonna need a ticket out.
Okay.
So I need to know that when you leave, I leave.
Fortitude is big enough for one more person, right?
You know, you can squeeze them in.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know is the simple answer to the question.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
But I kind of know where you might want to look
Okay. That's
for Golvan's where Golvan hangs out.
Okay.
There's a dive called the Goldfish Bowl.
Goldfish Bowl.
Because we've talked about flotilla favelas, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I think that there is a dive out there in the lagoon where access is above the surface, but the dive is literally below the surface.
Oh, I think I think I vaguely remember that rule. Anyway, so yeah, Goldfish Bowl. Okay. That's fair. Yeah. Give me your comms and I'll give you a call when we leave.
Okay.
We might have to leave in a hurry, so we couldn't wait for a very long time.
I will make sure my go bag is ready to go.
Oh, okay. Good seeing you.
Yeah. Now tell me about what's brought you here. ...
Yeah.
Scene ends.
Yeah. Scene.
Okay. What about Chris McPatrick? What? How does Chris want to follow up on what
Alan,
he's? Oh, sorry.
I can have texted the other two about the Goldfish Bowl before.
Oh yeah.
Getting into the whole reminiscence thing.
Yeah, we're not interested in that. Chris, I want you to think about where you're going to go next because it's a minute past the hour. It's time for our first break. Could we be back at our seats at 10 past the hour? I will pause the recording. Okay, back from our commercial break. Paul, you're going to set the scene, frame the scene that follows up from your bit of ear to the ground. Where do we see Chris next? And is he alone or in company?
I'm happy for if Dr. Rillisk wants to accompany me. That's fine.
Fine. So both of you are where?
We're going to go into another bar establishment. Do you want to come up with this one?
Yeah, sure.
So not the Squally Cosmonaut.
The Squally Cosmonaut is where we met, yeah?
No, that's where you found out that the Snagg.
Oh, no, let's go with the Squally Cosmonaut. Sorry, there was too many things going all over the place. Yeah, just before we go in, Doctor, this is a dive of scum and villainy. Always keep your back to the wall and keep your eyes out. We're going to interact with some locals. Let's hope it goes well. Keep that pistol in your jacket, ready to go.
Oh, thank you, Mr. McPatrick. I've spent quite some time with Nestor. I'm well prepared for what the people of Snaggs World have to offer. And if they're anything like Nestor, then this pistol will not be enough.
We will see. They're not all armed with high-tech weaponry. Let's hope.
No, they're not. They're not. I think that the particularly at this end of the scale, this is clubs, knives, and Saturday night specials.
I think Rillisk, as we step in, to the den of scum and villainy, just looks around and just mutters under her breath, the people still live like this in the cluster. So much work to be done.
And what do you do, Chris?
I'm gonna go and find a guy called Jack Cooley, who is a member of the Shadow Cobras, which is a minor street gang officiated with Snagg's family.
Thanks for adding him to the Faces and Places. I've also, subject to your agreement, Nestor, added Red. But go ahead, Chris. Paul, stroke Chris.
Now we see Jackie sat at a large table. It's a gaming table, so they've got sort of like shells, which is used as sort of tokens. Really worn cards, and I'm going to slap down a handful of shells on the table and say, "You okay to deal me in, Jack?"
Let's try compel, shall we? What that sounds like you're asking to be allowed, or are you, as the move says, are you threatening or inciting? Is there a threat in this? Are you going to cause trouble if they don't let you in? Flip over the table, or
let's go big or go home.
Okay, roll plus force.
Maybe the threat is just making him look like a coward. If you don't do it, then he's not man enough to take your bet, kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
well,
That's the classic way.
We'll find out if you have to demonstrate.
You guys +1.
It's serious.
Snake eyes.
Snake eyes. They refuse or demand something significant from you, and the GM describes the cost of failure. I think that everyone but Jack at the table, the other 4 people, stand up and say, "This is not an open game, old man."
Oh, it's
Dr. Rillisk, is there an aid a crew member desperate measure here?
Yes, of course. And Rillisk will fish out a cred and slap it on the table and say, "Well, all doors can be opened with the right keys, can't they, gentlemen?"
That sounds like sociability to me.
I'm better at sociability than I am at anything else. Yeah.
So
I'm not. I'm crap at sincere. I did actually want to ask you about swapping those around because I ended up being more sincere than shady, I think. But we'll just roll with it.
So I think it probably is sincere because you're making an offer here, aren't you? You're saying, look, there's real money in this as well as the shells.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so let's have you roll plus sincere.
Okay, and I'm going to spend a credit, so I'll roll with advantage.
Indeed you will. Look at that. That was worth it, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it's a 9, actually, because of my -1.
Okay, so on a 7+, their outcome improves by 1 step, so the fail becomes a marginal success, a mixed success. But on 7 to 9, you suffer any cost attached to their original outcome. So Rillisk, there's a kind of, okay, Jack says, okay, guys. Okay, old fella, your friends put real money on the table. But Dr. Rillisk, you're going to have to go away and get a round in for the table.
I'll leave you gentlemen to it. It's 2 Pan-Galactic Gargle Blasters, a whiskey on the rocks, and a Snagg special. Okay.
I think you'll find that the only thing behind the bar is rough alcohol. Or grog.
Grog, yeah.
Leaving Chris at the table. So Chris, you're at the table. You're in the game. What's your objective here?
I'm going to use some dodgy card play.
Okay.
And over a long period of time, where the aim is to wear this guy down, and so that he'll end up owing me a favour. That's where I'd like to get to.
Okay, that's what you want to get to. I just want to see if there's any cost that follows Dr. Rillisk away from the table, because apart from getting around in, let me see what this is going to give me. It's a 6 and a 3. You lose track of something important, or 3-6. An earlier choice returns to haunt you. Oh, yes. I think an earlier choice returns to haunt Dr. Rillisk as across this crowded, smoky room, you see someone that you remember from home, someone connected perhaps to that other mantis, the Maintenance Guild Intelligence Service. Because we never quite pinned down whether these were the same or different mantises, but I think it's time that we introduce them into the scene. But I'll come back to Chris when enough time has passed to have worn them down through a series of hands. So I'm interested in Dr. Rillisk's response to seeing someone from your former life.
I mean, it's at the bar ordering the drinks, right? And then, some big laborer, covered in oil smeared things, gets up and moves away from the bar, and as that bulk moved out of the way, there's suddenly you can see I'm blanking on names. Let's call them
I mean, for what it's worth, Faces and Places, I think has some character names down on row 360.
Oh well, there's no way I'd scored that far down.
Who would?
Yeah. It is a prefect Karthik.
Karthik, fair enough.
Yeah.
Prefect Karthik. Is prefect a role or a name?
It's a title. Yeah. And Mantis was what was it in the Maintenance Guild? Mantis was the
is the Maintenance Guild Intelligence Service. So it's MAT and then little is.
Yes, yeah, Maintenance Guild Intelligence Service. Yeah. Of the maintenance of the guild. And that's the they're the agents of the intelligence service, basically.
Right.
And in fact, Dr. Rillisk went to school with Prefect Karthik.
Well, I'm just curious to see, because you say they want you back. Who would they send after you? They'd send their worst, their most fanatical servants.
Oh yes, yeah. Prefect Karthik is definitely their most fanatical servant.
Okay.
We never got on particularly.
Right. So I think we flash back to the last time you had any contact with Karthik. What went down in the high school gym?
Oh, I think the last time I actually had any encounter with Karthik was me bringing my concerns about the guild's work and the great project of, I forget the name of the station that we're working on.
I think, didn't you describe it as some kind of moon?
Yeah, like the orbital installation that the entire maintenance guild is working on restoring. That's
the Steel Moon.
The Steel Moon, yeah. And we cut to Karthik. I know I could trust you. We went to school. We studied at the academy together, and what I've uncovered here in the data suggests something quite terrible. I think that our theories about the Steel Moon may be maybe entirely off base. I think that it's not the gate back to the home world. I think it may be a weapon. I think it may be the reason why the system is littered with the ruins of planets and other. And Karthik, leans back across the table and goes in. Well, That would be very serious, wouldn't it? Who else have you told about this? And then, cut to Rillisk opening the door to one of her colleagues who she mentioned it to, and, just debris everywhere and blood across the thing. And that's when she booked it out of there, basically.
I've added a tentative prefect Karthik to Faces and Places.
Mm.
What do you do? Do you make an effort to stay hidden? Do you, what's...
Yeah.
Sorry, I've just thought, Paul, I need to remind you, when you roll with a stat, you tick the box next to it. Okay?
Okay, yep.
And when all of them are filled, that converts into an XP. You might be familiar with that system for another of my games, but go on. Dr. Rillisk, what do you do?
I think Rillisk ordered the drinks and then leaned back on the bar, and was looking around as the drinks got poured behind her. And then that guy, and he's over on the other, revealed him, and she quickly turns around and pulls the hood up and leans over the bar in close to the bartender and goes, "Hurry up."
This looks take the risk of being spotted, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
And it sounds like shady to me.
Yeah, I think it is shady for sure. What
Deception, misdirection, or stealth. Roll plus shady.
Yeah. What's my shady at? My shady's at 0. Do I spend an extra cred here? No, I might need that for later. Oh, I should have spent the extra cred.
So that's a fail, I think.
Yeah.
And you hear a bellow from across the room. Rillisk! And people as Karthik makes his way as quickly as he can through this smoky, crowded dive in your direction. Chris, what do you do when you hear, you're halfway through a hand and you hear behind you this bellow of Rillisk?
I'm gonna ask Jack if there's an alternate way out of.
Okay.
My colleague could do with a swift exit.
Okay. I think this is find an angle. You want to create an advantage for Rillisk, don't you?
Yeah.
So, and this sounds like, well, you tell me. It doesn't sound like force. It doesn't sound like you're on the move, finesse, unless it's the speed of your response to that call.
No, I don't think.
To me like sharp or sincere.
I think it's sharp.
Go on, then.
Either way, it's flat.
And maybe it's as much about you working out the quick way out.
8.
On a 7+, you succeed and gain advantage or place them at disadvantage if that's more relevant. Maybe it's about signaling to Rillisk to go left before they go right, because that's going to drag Karthik into the cluster of tables nearer you. You succeed. 7 to 9, the GM describes the cost that accompanies your success. I think... Oh, I seem to have missed a bit of a move down there. I need to make that box bigger. Sorry. I think that... Yeah, sorry, I've cut and pasted it kind of lazily there. In fact, none of that belongs there. I apologize. There we go. That works. Nearly. So I think that's going to mess up your game. The game is going to be disrupted when Karthik bundles past Jack and the other players, and cards are displaced, shells fall on the floor. It's a complication for you to deal with. Rillisk, this buys you time. What do you do with the time?
Like it. Yeah, run.
So
I don't think that we've betrayed that Chris is with me to Karthik. I was stumbling past and he just tipped the cards, one way and really turned in one direction.
Yeah, no, that's
someone shoved their chair back and yeah.
No, the complication is on Chris's interaction with the card players, not on your relationship or anything. So really, I think it's roll plus finesse to run quickly.
Yeah. Fumbling with the pistol underneath her coat as she runs. She's not very used to using these things.
No, this has been a very difficult morning.
I
Just
burst
for
out
our
of the
viewers, that is a 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, 3. Or does it drop to 2?
no, that's a 2. That's a 3. Sorry, that's a 3. No,
Okay.
that's a 4 even. I think I got a +1 in finesse. Yes, but it doesn't help at all.
No, it doesn't.
I think it's bursting out into the back alleyways between these narrow sort of shacks that the bars are all set up in. Running out, like climbing a fence, jumping over it, running around a corner, and then Karthik is waiting right there.
Before we get that far, I think, Chris, you see Rillisk's kind of, rabbit in the headlights and just running for it. Do you want to do anything as Karthik brushes past the table that might aid your ally, aid your crew, aid a crew member?
Yeah, I think push a foot out, plonk him one to go down, push him over.
Just while that sounds like shady or force. Obvious, or are you trying to make this accidental?
I think, I'm happy to roll either of those two.
Shady it is then.
Five, 6, 7.
Went the crowd. On a 7+, that failure Rillisk becomes a mixed success on your escape. I think that gets you out, but pursuit may continue. So the immediate danger is gone, but I think that there is going to be a cost of your success. Maybe it's that Karthik is going to be dogging your footsteps.
Yeah, maybe the rather than me running around the corner and him being there, it's us both being, I think I've made it out to safety and he's behind me, right? He's a way off. But like as we're on like the busy thoroughfare on like, where people are milling around, like you can just glance him like looking around and working his way through the crowd. And now I'm it's like that James Bond Day of the Dead scene where they're all like passing through people.
Yeah. And you are going to escape is the bottom line. But the cost is going to be that he knows you're here and he's now actively looking for you.
Yes.
Nestor, where do we next see you?
I think I'm trying to get back with my crew to relay the information I found. So I will do I run into Dr. Rillisk while I'm on the way to the squally thingy?
Do you want to run into Dr. Rillisk, or do you want to arrive to find Dr. Rillisk has already left?
No, I want to run into Dr. Rillisk, please.
Fine. So, so I think Rillisk is moving as shadily as she can.
I mean,
wow.
The camera, the shot has got to be of Rillisk, like, thinking that she's blending in, walking with people, and then just like a big hand dropping on her shoulder and spinning around, and it's Nestor rather than pistol like jabbed up into your ribs, and you're just like,
the pistol kind of.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Nice piece you got there. You seem tense though.
They're here. The guild. They're looking for me.
Okay. Anyone I should punch or something?
Well, shoot if you can.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people around, so
at this point,
maybe point me at someone I should shoot.
I left you with Karthik is going to dog your footsteps through the session. So you either you need to hunt him, or you need to sucker him in some way. So he's not an obvious target right now, because I don't want it to be that simple for it.
What is Nestor got? Daredevil and Soldier. Tactician would have been a good one for this. Just watch my back. Let's get back to the and I'll start to fill him in on like all of the Krethik is he's
likewise, and
he's a member of Mantis. It's a different Mantis, but I suspect that they may be the same organization.
So we have a spy that calls themselves Mantis, and we have this organization called Mantis. And they're not the same, but maybe they are.
I believe that perhaps the guild has influenced RGA. Perhaps this rogue agent is working in the same interests. But if what I learn, if what my theories are correct, then the guild could be in a position to control the entire cluster and crush anything that stands against them.
That would be bad, right?
Yes, I think it would be bad. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But I think maybe I'm being naive, but mantises are really cool creatures. So could be a coincidence, is what I'm saying.
Yes, Nestor, I'm sure it's a coincidence. Yes.
No, I don't. I just wanted to. Yeah, you're probably right. That everything is connected and the conspiracy.
Let's cut back to the Squally Cosmonaut. The Squally Cosmonaut, where a bit of chaos erupts. Karthik bustles out through the wrong exit, perhaps. So he's not. You think that that Rillisk has got a fighting chance, Chris. What do we see in terms of this card game and your interaction?
Just continually slogging him down one shell at a time. That's the aim. It's a no getting up. You stay at the table, last man standing.
Okay, so unless you've got a better way to come to this, I think this is take the risk of losing by cheating.
Yep.
So this is take the risk, roll plus shady, and the likely cost is going to be your cred. Seems to me. That's what's at stake here. Let's see how that goes. Take the risk. Can you get the upper hand?
10, 11, 12.
This is a montage. We see a play, a round of play. Then we see gradually, one player folds after another until it's just you and him. And you are successful. You wipe him out, and he ends up putting an IOU on the table because he's convinced he's got it.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's got 2 pairs, and I've just got the full house. That's good, but it's not that good.
And so the game kind of folds, and the folks say, I'm not playing with this old fucker again, and they wander away from the table, leaving him kind of, oh shit. So where does this lead you?
It's not too bad, Jack. It's not too bad at all. I'm going to shove sort of half the pot that's on the table in his direction and say, you can have all that back. I just need a bit of information.
And is his IOU on the top of it?
Yeah.
What do you want from me? I'm not that kind of guy.
But you know people.
Okay.
You know the Snaggs. Where are they meeting these off-worlders? Where's this safe house?
Well, the Snaggs have got places all over the place. But I think this is roll to investigate, and I'm going to give you advantage for the leverage you have. Yeah, so it's the equivalent of having spent a cred without having to spend a cred. So investigate, roll plus sharp, unless you've got an alternative.
No. I think sharp's fine. I've got advantage though. So 3 dice flat. A 5 and a 2, lucky.
7 up. The GM will provide relevant information and may ask you what response would interest you. I'm prepared to opt for what response would interest you. Where do you want this safe house to be?
I mean, time-wise, do we want it in the fish bowl?
I'm open for offers. I mean, the fish bowl is a dive. I'm not sure it would count as a safe house. I'm not sure there's accommodation.
But I don't want to control. I don't want to dead end Sabine's find.
Yeah.
If there's enough time to play out, Sabine's fine. But if I
think-
already know where the safe house is,
I think there is. I mean, we're halfway through. We've got another commercial break in 20 minutes
fine.
or so.
Let's say the safe house.
Maybe the safe house is connected to the Goldfish Bowl. You can only reach it through that.
Oh,
Something
that would
like
make it
that.
very safe, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Underwater.
Beneath.
Submersible.
Yes.
Ooh, nice. Yeah.
A steampunk submersible. Oh, yes. Beneath the Goldfish Bowl. Yeah, I think that's
Pablo Escobar submarine tactics.
Yeah.
on a 7 to 9. What you learn comes with a complication. I think the complication is that not only do you have to make it through this, this dive, but you then have to gain access to an otherwise secure submersible beneath the Goldfish Bowl. I think that's complication enough that you've offered me there. Thank you. So let's cut back to the three of you. Where do you want the three of you to meet? And then we're in a question of priorities. Is this about, you had a clock ticking on the arrival of Golvan. There's probably a more immediate clock now related to Karthik. Do you want to remove the Karthik threat, or do you want to proceed to your heist?
Well, now I've not done many of these things, rather more than I'd done in the past, of course. But it feels to me that having a third party, potentially affiliated agent working against us whilst we try and conduct a heist might be something of an obstruction. So perhaps, we know what Prefect Karthik wants, me, and we know how to deal with him, Nestor. So perhaps if we could do some sort of law, honeypot type situation. I pretend to be hapless and unable to hide myself among the throngs of Snagg's world, and he thinks he has a drop on me, whereas in actual fact we have the drop on him. How does that sound?
Yeah, we should just hurry up with this because we can't afford to dawdle around with this douchebag. I assume he's a douchebag, right? And
Oh yeah.
And he's douchebaggy enough that you don't mind if I kill him.
Oh, I don't mind. No, in fact, I'd rather prefer that if be the
Okay.
ultimate outcome. But it would be
Okay.
perhaps useful to interrogate him somewhat before we did so. But
So can I just at this point, does Chris lean forward? Because I think there is a move potentially at play here, is there not?
Oh well, you just stepped on me.
Oh, I beg your
Doing
pardon.
the same
sorry.
thing. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah. Because I'm looking at that and I'm going like, I've suggested a plan, but what I actually want is Chris to do the actual
do the
plan.
work.
Clearly, we need to catch him in a thronging public and get him down a dark alley where. So we've got bait. Looking at you, Doctor.
Yes.
And we've got something to activate the trap. We've got the prey. Nestor just needs to exterminate the prey.
Well, that's my question. Is this capture or kill? Because I think with direct action or violence is roll plus force. Using stealth, distraction, or lies to capture him is shady.
I want to roll shady.
Well, this is Chris's move, so it's
I know.
which way Chris is going to go. Are you setting this up to?
Well, you wanted him captured, didn't you, Doctor? To interrogate?
I think that when I say like I want him dead, it's more along the lines of like if he died, I wouldn't be shedding any tears, But he's a useful source of intel, right? And I think that like the difference between the Force and Shady is less about the capture or kill and more about, are we doing that in public, like an open shootout, or are we doing it down a dark alleyway somewhere where if it goes to guns, then people won't be like, there was a big shootout in the middle of Tortuga's thingy.
They won't mind. They might leave. Yeah, they might lean on us to pay for the damages, of course, because money. But nobody is gonna be super upset with
I have to
us.
say, I did wonder when I said paint a scene of New Tortuga whether anyone would have a shootout outside the RGA dock access. But so I think this is plan with Shady.
Yeah.
Okay, so on a 7+, pick 2 foes, which could be the same one, subject to successive disadvantages, and say how they are put at disadvantage when you plan, and then we can worry about the details. So I think this is 1 foe twice.
Yeah. I think we look for this, this alleyway, and I'm getting severe Cyrano de Bergerac vibes. Bit of scaffolding. Let's have that collapse on the bloke and knock him down.
So let's have. So we know who we're targeting, and I think I'm gonna require one of those to be
Block their escape route.
their escape route or put them in the crosshairs.
Oh, it depends on. You could roll a 10+, right? Oh, it's a 7+. Sorry, I misread it. 7+,
yeah.
7+. Sorry.
So I think this is to put him in the right place, crosshairs, and then can you stop him escaping? Does that seem reasonable?
Seems reasonable and allows other people to do stuff.
It does. It does. So, and I think that this is, let's have you roll then. Roll plus Shady, and we'll see how the move, because I've rewritten the move. Let's see how it works.
Rolled 9 + 2, 11.
Well. So, and I think then, how does this put them at disadvantage when Dr. Rillisk seeks to put them in the crosshairs? Because she's the bait, isn't she? Yeah? So, Dr. Rillisk, I should ask Chris, it's his move. How does this create an advantage for Dr. Rillisk to be bait, but safe bait?
I think it is that sort of shady scaffolding sort of comes down on this agent, allowing Rillisk to drop.
I wait in a place where I can good sight lines, right? And he sees me, and I see him, and I run down, and I go down the scaffolding. But we know that there's this one like joist on that scaffolding that I kick it on my way down, and it's now weakened. It was safe for me to go down, but now when he comes down behind me, it's going to collapse under his weight.
Okay. So let's have you. You have advantage against him, Dr. Rillisk. So is this take a risk, or have you got something else in mind? And then we'll see about Nestor subduing him.
I was imagining me basically running down this scaffolding to where Nestor's waiting.
Take a risk.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay. And this
finesse,
sounds like finesse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, you have advantage.
That's 8.
8. On an 8, you are successful. The GM describes the cost that accompanies your success. I think that the cost is he does slip, but as he's kind of making, scrabbling down the rest of the scaffolding, the advantage Nestor would have had is neutralized because he sees that you are not alone down there. So he lands in a heap, but it's not where you expected, and he's ready for some trouble. So Nestor, he is, but you don't have the advantage that Chris's move hoped to set up for you.
Okay, and we're supposed to capture him?
That's the objective, subdue. And remember, your soldier move is take out. It doesn't say kill.
Okay, then I'll do that one.
Yeah.
I'll take them out.
So when you attack one named NPC or a group of unnamed NPCs, up close and personal?
Yeah, up close and personal. Sure.
Roll plus force?
Sure. I mean, she's mad at him, so I want to punch him. So she thinks I'm cool, right?
So it's a 2d6 plus force.
Yeah. Okay. Come on, be nice to me. What are you doing, Dyke? It's a 7 plus force. It's a 9.
9. On a 7+, describe how you try to avoid harm, put them under pressure, and then take them out. So just give us a quick pen picture of the exchange.
I think I just basically, it's a powered armor, right? So I can jump in it. So they've seen me, fine, I'll jump. I'll land on next to them, not on top as I originally planned, but next to them. And then I'll just do a haymaker, like, oh. And they fly backwards and land in a heap. And then I'm over there and putting some pressure on some artery, and they'll lose consciousness. And I'll turn around and say, there you go.
There you go. 7 to 9. One consequence. You and the relevant gear share one stress. You take stress as established from the named NPC. You're at disadvantage. There's collateral damage to someone or something in the scene. I
could imagine that he actually has a weapon out and shoots me while I jump at him.
I don't. I mean, I think it's much cooler if he's a bit flustered, but he gets up and then there's a powered armor. I mean, you know, he's a fly to be swatted. I think it's the collateral damage.
Okay.
I think that the rest of the scaffolding comes down.
Oh. Whoops.
And that draws some attention. So you may have been noticed carrying him away.
Oh. I don't think anybody would mind, totally.
No, well, time will tell. Time will. Maybe he's not alone.
Oh, well, somebody should look out for that. Somebody who has a good sharp, I guess.
Now, I'm curious, Rillisk, do you want to do the inverted commas interrogation of Karthik now? Or do you want to flashback to that? And for now, all we know is he's off the board. It's up to you.
Let's flashback to it. I think
let's
focus on, because I think that would be a good
link
use
to next
of
time.
The what's really going on with move. Yeah,
I get that. So
and on a miss, maybe it's like cyanide pill or whatever, right? Like
So Chris, that plan went down pretty seamlessly, with the exception that a lot more scaffolding came down and you may have drawn some attention, depending on whether you roll a 6+ further down the line. But we are now back to the Goldfish Bowl. So does Chris have an idea about the Goldfish Bowl? Oh, you are muted.
What, plan-wise going forwards, or you just want me to describe it?
I think I'd like to know a bit about it.
So I think it is. It's an old boat with a moon pool. So you enter this old boat, go through it. It's a bar. Is it a bar, Nestor?
We described it as a dive, I think, Nestor.
A dive.
It's a dive. That's what you said, but it has this look. I think it's not that bad of a dive because it's underground, and that is kind of cool, right?
So I've got a moon pool. Nestor, tell me something else about the Goldfish Bowl.
Yeah, I think it has, as I said, this big window where you can look out and see fishes swimming around, and you can see, I think, some pictures of nice fish, and the fish out there, they're not all that nice. Right, because this is the Splendiferous System, and that nothing ever is really all that nice.
No, they're all very spiky and ugly.
Yeah, most of them are either poisonous or venomous or both.
Yeah, and while we got this vaguely Caribbean look on the surface, down there it's pretty grey.
No, it's not.
Oh,
it's
is it not?
Grey. Why should it be grey?
Okay. No, I just think of the system as being really kind of...
No, they like color. I mean, as much color as they can get, and some of these fish are colorful. If you catch them and put their heads up, they are colorful. And and somebody made these somebody somewhere stole these little umbrellas.
And I'm getting a sense that to go with our vaguely primitive infrastructure, is this lots of plate steel and bolted heavy glass windows keeping the water out? And Dr. Rillisk, tell me something else about, I think perhaps about access in or access through, because I've got some props.
So the fish bowl's a dive. It faces out onto the ocean. It's like a glass bowl,
or glass-sided boat.
glass-sided boat. Yeah, and I think you know, there are opaque compartments, you know, like within it that are, you know, steel hulls and everything like that. And somewhere on there is an airlock where this submersible safe house is docked, you know.
Private, staff only.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, perhaps you know, people it's sort of like commonly known among the patrons of the fishbowl that some, you know, some goods like even, you know, move through here under the waves, under the without the eyes of anyone on top of them, you know.
Fine. So the population, I mean, we found it because it was frequented by Golvan and his crew. So is this a mix of off-worlders and locals? Is it off-worlders and local fixers? What am I seeing, Nestor?
I think it's a bit unclear because you never know, but by the accents there are some locals, mostly in the service stuff, and there are some outworlders who also have atrocious accents, and yeah.
So in effect, it's a bit like a microcosm of New Tortuga.
Yeah,
You know,
I think there's a fight
yeah.
going on actually when we walk in.
Okay. So as you go down the stairs, kind of into the below decks area, Chris, have you got an idea about how you're going to get to? Because you're going to have to use Crackit to get through that airlock. I think we're all expecting that. But how are you going to put the team where they need to be? What's your thinking?
I'm going to lean into another character's move. We're not going to go through the airlock. We're going to swim down there through the moon pool because the engineer is going to come up with some kind of equipment, James Bondy style, to achieve it.
And then we're going to use Nestor's Daredevil, which has changed. I don't know if you've noticed, but now you get the option to have other people just do it if you're successful. So all three of you could make your way without even bothering with that internal airlock. Oh, wow. What a plan.
Is this a good time?
What a plan. I think this is a good time for a break. It is just before the hour. Shall we take a rest until on the hour? Fine. Short commercial break. See you in a moment. Okay, as we get back from our commercial break, we see the crew making their way onto the Goldfish Bowl. And I think, Nestor, you said that there was a fight.
Oh, there's a fight?
Now, again, stop me if I'm seeing this wrong, but I think there are a couple of steps in this heist. I think there is getting to the moon pool and getting into it undisturbed. There's a flashback of Rillisk making some, you know, adapting your respirators into some kind of very small portable air supply. There's getting from the moon pool to the submersible in a daredevilish way. There's getting in through the submersible, and that sounds like breaking and entering to me, Chris. And so that's what I've got on the table at the moment. So I think my first question is to Chris. And what's the plan to get the three of you into the moon pool without causing a stir?
Well, actually, I think it is a stir.
Go on.
That fight that Nestor, it's a distraction.
Oh, so have you set that up in advance, Chris?
Yes, I think this is our man. This is Jack Cooley.
Okay. Okay.
Because I've got a favour with Snaggs. So mechanically, I need to activate that. So, you know, I'm going to lean even more on Jack and say, you need to come to the fishbowl and cause a ruckus.
Okay. And the way that works is if you want their help, if they owe you a favor, you can spend a favor to get their help, and their help is grease the wheels of a transactional deal, lower legal, political, economic, or social barriers to getting in there, reduce or absorb legal, political, economic, or social consequences. So I think that somewhere in there is get you into a bar without too many questions and provide some kind of distraction. So, so we've got a plan, and is your objective to get the team deploys a member of the crew to where you want them to be?
Yeah, deploy them to the moon pool, which normally isn't sort of very busy. So I want that sort of people out of there to see this fight that's going on. That Nestor described. There was a fight.
And maybe the other one is suppresses their capacity to cause physical or emotional stress. So I think there's 2 bouncers here, 2 security staff on duty. You want one of them distracted, and you want the other one unable to get a bead on you, even if they notice anything. Is that fair?
Seems fair.
Okay, do your thing.
So it's a distraction. So it's roll with shady.
I think it is.
2 dice plus 2. What can go wrong? A 4 and a 4 plus 2, the big 10.
There is a 10. There's no downside to this. So I think that Dr. Rillisk, you are at advantage to deploy your breathing devices on the edge of the moon pool. And Nestor, you are at advantage to neutralize the 1 bouncer that's left watching the moon pool, because Snagg health and safety rules are very tight.
What? You said I wouldn't need a respirator. Just,
So let's have you put that bouncer down.
Yeah. So I would
take
like
them out,
to.
I think. Unless you want anything else.
I would like to take them out without being noticed, though.
Oh yeah. So do you want to do this? I think it's still force, and the complication might be that it's a little noisier than you'd hoped.
Oh, I was angling for doing something shady.
Yeah, unfortunately, your soldier move doesn't do that.
Can I do some other move?
Oh, go on. Yeah.
One.
Sorry, I was.
I mean, there is probably
take the risk.
Yeah. Yes.
Take the risk of being noticed.
Yeah.
Roll plus shady.
Yep.
Positive gamesmanship going on. Remember, you have advantage because of the plan having played out.
Exactly. Okay, there's an 8.
An 8. On an 8, you are successful. 7, the GM describes the cost that accompanies your success. The guy you knock out is not dead.
That's fine.
He is unconscious and is going to wake up at some point. So the clock is now ticking again in terms of you need to be in and out on the heist before the alarm is raised.
I think that's fair.
Dr. Rillisk, we flash back to you aboard the shuttle tinkering with the respirators that now come as part of your spacesuits. So, it's one of those faceplates that you can tinker. You're trying to, just get the business end of it. So this sounds like, unless you want to throw a curveball at me like Nestor did, this sounds like the engineer move, which is now build or break.
Yes, yeah, it does, yeah. And it seems like I've got to take the time I need to work out a more elegant solution.
I think you have.
Yeah.
So you're rolling plus sharp.
Yes,
and you have advantage, remember, because deploying this is going to be easy because of the plan.
Yeah, and I think just to fulfill Paul's request for it to be steampunky, like to turn these from backsuit respirators into something that will function underwater rather than in vacuum requires some of the local technology. So it'll be like a respirator with like tubes and snorkels. Rather than like a contained
and some set of cogs going.
Yeah, that like, and as we go down, they're like steam bubbles kind of coming out of them.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So that is plus sharp, which is my plus 2.
It is.
And I have advantage. So you managed to roll a 12.
Well, it doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No,
On 7 plus, you succeed. You remove the requirement for them to breathe because you've presented, a feature of the scene.
Just like Nestor often does.
Yes. And you have advantage to exploit the change you've made. So these are very effective machines. no downside, everything's a winner. And so what do we see then, Chris, once we get underneath the water and see the three of you kind of making your way?
I think we see this black sub. I'm getting a lot of sort of Nautilus vibes
Yes.
here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has to be Kirk Douglas and the Nautilus here, doesn't it?
Yeah, I want it slightly sort of higher tech than probably. This may be a remnant. It's not sort of very futuristic, but it's clearly either well maintained or it's slightly better than what this world can normally provide.
Which is the Nautilus.
Yeah,
20th century technology in the 19th century. So yes, and there you can see, and maybe one of those advances is that there's some kind of combination lock on the airlock that you're swimming towards. So far, I've got no 6 minuses, so I can't just deploy the spiny, poisonous, ugly fish that we've described, albeit their brightly coloredness. So but Daredevil, I think, is where this comes in, Nestor. You are leading them down towards this.
Yeah.
And this is just, how did you boost their confidence? We flash back to you, because I think this is about you wanting to make a role everyone can follow on, yeah?
Yeah. This is with Sincere, right?
This is with Sincere.
So I'm arriving after taking care of this guard, look at that and say, well, that's very fanciful. I think we're on a track here, right? We can do this. I mean, this can't be that hard. We're just swimming like fish can swim, and we're better than fish, aren't we?
And we all trust Dr. Rillisk's technology, don't we? So let's have you convince them and make the move on their behalf. Roll with Sincere. Remember, you have advantage because of the plan.
Nice. Yep, there is a 7.
On a 7+. What does your success look like? You get somewhere hard to reach. You take something.
We get somewhere hard to reach. I guess that's.
The GM says what your success costs you, but not anyone with you.
Cool.
Oh yes, you can see one of those large, spiny, ugly toothed fish. Notices you, and. I think you have to turn at bay, allowing Rillisk and Chris to get down to the ship, to the submersible. So Chris, I think we cut to you and Rillisk at this airlock. This complex mechanical lock you need to break in.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, you can't talk underwater, so there's lots of sort of pointing. And we clearly see Nestor sort of like, you two sort of go that way, hand signals, and we sort of we're at this hatch, look back, and whatever's going on with Nestor and the large fish, as I'm sort of sliding these dials, trying to get in. Again, it's
before you roll the dice, I think we have to leave you tinkering with this while we cut back to Nestor as this dangerous-looking, heavily toothed space shark. It's a snag shark.
A snag shark. Oh my god.
Snag shark.
These people
bearing down on you.
These people will name everything for themselves. I hate this family.
What's your response to this? It's not yet attacking you, but it's a complication that could turn nasty. So what are you doing?
It's not attacking me. Good. I take out my sword and I hit it across the snout so it'll knows that shouldn't leave me alone.
I think this is your soldier roll plus force with your simple bladed weapon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So no advantage at play here.
That's fine.
But flat roll plus force.
Okay, I can roll plus force, which is good. Well, it's not good enough. It's a 5.
Ooh, went the crowd. So on a 6-, you fail to take them out, and the GM picks 2 from the list of consequences and may even add a cost of failure.
If you don't mind, I'm quite happy to sort of, as I said, we turned around and saw Nestor. I can sort of indicate to the doctor, if the doctor wishes to leave me and go and assist,
You anticipate me. I was going to tell you what was at stake before I asked Dr. Rillisk whether over Chris's shoulder you see Nestor struggling, James Bond-like with a dangerous.
So are we sort of underwater Tarzan fight here? Are
This
we?
is kind
Sort
of
of barrel rolls. Oh, because yeah, sharks barrel roll, don't they, all the
they
time?
they do. So I think the consequence is going to be you and your relevant gear share one stress per unnamed NPC. There's only one, so you'll get one stress. You take stresses established from the named NPC. So cost and harm. I think this is melee. So you would take 2 stress for that. So we're looking at 3 stresses at play. And the other complication is you are disadvantaged by being left off balance, out of position, or distracted. So that is what is at stake, Dr. Rillisk, as you see Nestor struggling with this beast. And do you choose to aid a member of the crew? And if so, how? Or
Yeah,
is this too big a risk?
Yeah, there's nothing on my pistol stun that says that it doesn't work underwater.
Oh, right. I think what I will suggest is that, let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the downside of this is that the charge in water does conduct rather more widely.
Yes. Yeah. Is Nestor wearing the power armor?
Yeah.
I don't think so, because
Oh, yes, of course he is.
Well, I'm just thinking it would look a bit obtrusive as you made your way discreetly.
No, we're not.
Okay.
You said
Power
we had
armor's
to
on.
mark 3
Yeah,
things we're taking, and I did mark the power
and it's
armor.
my fault that I didn't put you at disadvantage for being rather noticeable. But let's go for it.
Yeah. Well, they got the power armor on. It's fine. Yeah.
Fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's have you. I think this is taking the risk rather than violence erupting. Because I think this is taking the risk of hurting it and not Nestor. Does that seem fair, or do you want to use when violence?
Yeah, is it not a sister crewmate?
Sorry, it is. I beg your yeah. Sorry, I'm being stupid. Go ahead. I'm getting excited.
And I think it is with agility, speed, or precision.
It is.
Because I need
finesse.
to.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I have a +1 in. I'm going to spend a cred to make it advantage.
How does spending a cred work here? Because it's how do you spend money or your credibility to influence in a flashback if necessary to influence this role?
When we said we were doing in the fishbowl underwater, I said, interesting. Well, my the standing ammunition for my pistol, is at 50% reduction in water. But if I buy some ingredients, then so I just buy some ammunition basically that will work better.
I mean, I'd like that's nice, but yeah. What about if you spent a moment observing the fish?
She's not a biologist.
Okay.
Yeah. I like it, but she's not a biologist. She's an engineer mainly. Fine. She only does the medical stuff because nobody else on the ship knows how to work a stethoscope.
Spend your cred. Roll with advantage.
Boom, 11.
Wow. So well, that goes beautifully. 7+ their outgun, that your outcome improves from fail to mixed success.
Oh,
and
nice.
There is no downside for Rillisk or anybody else. So that improves your outcome from fail to mixed, and that is avoid harm, put them under pressure, take them out, and then I pick a consequence, which is going to be, I think, that you're going to take 1 stress. Okay. Oh no, I'm going to stress the power armor. Ooh, I think, because nice. That I think is more interesting. So, but how do you take them out with your knife?
It's not a knife. I mean, it's a sword, right? I've hit them across the snout, and they didn't like that. Apparently, they're a little stupid, and maybe there's mating seed, whatever. They attack me. We roll around, and it's a bit chaotic. And I think then it jerks away. That's when Rillisk hits it. I don't know why, but I will skewer it with my sword.
Fine.
Now we have fish kebab. That's what you get
Yeah.
for attacking me.
And I think, that's got to release some oddly coloured body
Yeah.
fluids into the water, just so I've got an opening for another
Yeah.
risk in a moment.
Yeah.
So we cut back to Chris as he reaches the point of no return to crack it.
Okay. I love that everything I'm rolling is always shady. You can't go wrong with a bit of shady. Crap for XP, but good for getting it done. That is a 3 and a 5. 8 plus 2, the 10.
10. This dice room loves you guys this week. You just it's clearly, you needed to trade in one spacer for another.
Indeed.
So crack it on a 10 plus. Pick one of these opportunities. I think
it's got to be open the portal. It's got to be. I mean, if not, what are we doing? Wasting our time.
Open the portal, and there's no downside on a 10 plus. So cut to all three of you dripping inside the airlock of this submersible. What happens next? Dr. Rillisk, you've been in the hands of the action men so far. Now, this might require a little bit more thought.
Yeah, well, we're on this submersible. We've got breathing gear.
You have.
I immediately pull out my engineering kit and begin working on one of the air regulators that is, positioned for, like submarine, I imagine, must pump air in and out of, keep it recycling, rather than just being like a stale tin.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
And what you'd much rather do is to shuffle the chemical fuel that drives the steam engine down here. You want to shuffle some of that carbon monoxide and dioxide into the air supply, don't you, Dr. Rillisk?
I do. I want to cut off the oxygen supply so that basically, as we wander through this ghost ship, they will all just be it's collapsed and unconscious.
I love
so
that.
We don't have to face anything.
I've just realised build and break has to be make or break. But
make or break, yeah, of course. How did you miss that?
How did I miss that? Jeez. Okay, so you want to break the air supply. Fair enough.
Yes.
Let's have you do that. I think that time is of the essence here, given what we know about the unconscious guy upstairs.
Yeah.
So this is roll plus force to bang some stuff.
Yeah, but I will stress my engineering kit to gain advantage on that dice roll.
That works for me.
And that makes it an 11.
Which was well worth the stress.
Or a 10, yeah.
So all on an 11, that goes beautifully, no downside. And yes, we cut to seeing the three of you making with your little...
Yeah, now like little steam's coming out of it, because we're out of the way. It was bubbles in the water, and now it's actual steam coming out,
Love it. Making your way through this submersible, through the Nautilus. And what are we looking for here? What's the search pattern? Do you split up? Are you all together? What approaches are you taking? Because this sounds like explore.
It's big enough to explore, okay.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Even if it's only got a zone each. Split up or stay together?
I just disabled all of the hostile forces, right? So time is of the essence. Splitting up seems the rational choice.
All it removes is the option to aid a crew member. So let me go first to Nestor. Nestor, when you are exploring an abandoned or unexplored zone of a ship, are you using brute force and ignorance to make your way through this?
Oh, definitely, yeah, because otherwise I'm screwed.
Okay.
So I'm just pulling out shit and throwing it around.
Using the power armor to tear the front off cabinets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Let's have you roll plus force.
Thank you. Shit for XP, but I think it's still only a 6.
Oh my, okay.
Yeah.
On a 6 minus, as for 7 to 9.
I could have spent cred, right? I forgot.
You could have spent cred. Do you want
to?
Yeah. Fine.
Yes.
And maybe you've got a pocket toolbar, crowbar. to do this
Yeah,
stuff.
yes.
So roll
That
a third dice and see if that
yeah,
changes that 4.
let's hope. Yes,
It
makes
does.
makes it a 10.
Makes it a 10. So on a 10 plus, the GM will add at least 2 options to the list. You salvage 1 cred, something worth 1 cred. You find someone who needs saving, or you don't. You find something of narrative value here or not. You can progress to the next zone, or there's a risk to take before you reach that zone. Which of those? Or breathable atmosphere, we've dealt with that. That's not valid. Enough light. We know it had crew on board, so there has to be enough light for them to operate. Or you spot a risk to take, or it disadvantages you, or do you want something of narrative value?
I want something of narrative value.
Okay, what about proof that Mantis is on Snagg?
I'm not reading it. I'm taking it to Dr. Rillisk and showing it off. Like, look,
Okay.
I found this.
So that's what Nestor's exploration does. What about Dr. Rillisk? How are you approaching this?
Can we just
Because
find out what
presumably
maybe
you've gone up or down a deck or headed
Yeah.
towards the aft when Nestor went forward.
Yeah. You wanted to find physical documents, right?
You were
Rather
looking
than
for something, weren't you?
so perhaps what Nestor found is lots of papers and like a briefcase or like that
Fair
sort
enough.
of I think I'm going to I don't do it with brute force and ignorance, or I guess I do it swiftly to try and get it fast because time is of the essence,
Fair enough.
but it's
That works for
carefully.
me.
I think I noticed that amongst this steampunk sort of like submersible, which is a tech level far below what I'm used to, there are jerry-rigged components like worked into the different bits of machinery and everything, stuff that comes from a tech level above Snagg's world, and she's like running down the corridor, like tracing it and like looking at the wiring and popping open a panel to see where it goes into the next thing. So yeah,
Let's have you roll with finesse.
that is a 10.
Well, what about that? On a 10 plus, you find salvage, someone who needs saving, something of narrative value, which builds perhaps on what Nestor's. So we know Mantis is on the planet. Or you can progress to the next zone. Now, I'm only going to give you 1 zone each because it's not that big.
Yeah.
So what do you want?
I will say that just as a thing, I completely missed the taking extra time to consider your options until I was looking through the options.
And that's a layout problem.
Yeah. But anyway, it wouldn't have been narratively appropriate anyway.
Given the pressure, yeah.
Yeah. I think it is of a narrative value. I think that what I come to is what's a sufficiently cool thing? I mean, I've been reading the Eclipse phase book recently, so I'm kind of thinking of like a quantum entanglement communicator that will allow like rather than it just be a satellite dish because it's submersible, right? Like, so it's got to be something that this is very high level tech. Only the RGA and maybe the maintenance guild really have access to this sort of tech. But
so
here,
let's call it a starship level communication device.
Yeah, it will allow people, so this is how Mantis was going to meet their contacts here in terms of communication. Like, this was the hub that Galvan was going to communicate to the wider conspiracy with.
Yeah.
And this level of tech is like way beyond even the Whispers crew,
And could it not conceivably have some kind of drone attached to the surface that would go up to the surface and allow it to broadcast?
That's why I said it was a quantum thing, because it doesn't have to go to the surface.
Okay.
It's incredibly high tech, so it's and yeah, you know what? That's what I find in there, and maybe there is a like a big chunky hard drive that I can yank out of it. So we've just got more data to sift through later.
Comms records. I mean, do you want it to be able to distinguish whether this is Mantis or Mantis? Or because you deliberately said it's only the maintenance guild or RGA you would have access to this level of tech?
Well, the way I'm leaning towards resolving that conspiracy element that's ambiguous at the moment is that Mantis and Mantis ultimately are the same part of the same conspiramid.
So we want to leave that ambiguity on the table for now.
Yeah, entirely.
Enough said. Finally, Chris, how do we see you exploring the upper deck?
Chris is going to move at a rate of knots because clearly somebody's going to fix this air problem. Somebody's going to notice, so I don't think we've got a lot of time here.
Okay. Let's go with that.
Now I'm going to. So I am moving swiftly, but I still want to remain hidden. So I'm going to stress my poncho.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
So even though I'm moving quickly, I'm still blurry, and nobody can see me.
Okay.
So let me quickly mark stress on said poncho.
Indeed so, and roll with advantage.
So I rolled 6-6, and it was with finesse, so that's -1, so it comes down to 11.
Oh, as poor as that.
As poor as that.
On 10 plus, salvage worth 1 cred, someone who needs saving, something of narrative value, or progress to the next zone is irrelevant.
We've got narrative value already, haven't we?
I think you have.
And yeah, I mean, the other two characters do all the sort of that kind of stuff. Ooh, shiny.
Fine. Salvage worth 1 cred. So that we don't need to fence that. You just add a cred. Yeah.
If you get extra cred when you exit a ring gate, does it still set back to your default? Okay.
It treated as fate points. Refresh is the minimum. Yeah. So how you're going to get out is now the only exfiltration. Is this back through the moon pool or not? I tell you what, I'm going to ask Nestor that, because Nestor's our daredevil. Through the moon pool or just to the surface and swim for the shore?
I think, the fish are a lot more frisky than I thought. But still, going back through the moon pool, I think we have a whole bar, and somebody will notice if we come out there dripping wet. I mean, and then they'll ask questions.
Yeah, and trust me, they'll notice that power armor this time.
I mean, they've noticed it before, but what you gonna do? Try to rob the guy wearing the power armor? Come on. No, I think we're going for the shore. Unless somebody says, no, I have made a plan and there's a contingency and somebody's going to set a fire to the Goldfish Bowl.
No, I think you are the contingency.
I'm the contingency.
So I think this is, again, the daredevil, but just do it. But you want to get the others to have that benefit. So let's have you roll with sincere.
Yeah, okay. I'm waving, and I'm waving around my sword like I can handle the fish. Sure I can. Probably.
It's a very big filleting knife.
Yeah, my filleting knife. Oh, wow, I rolled a 10, so.
Well, that's home free then, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
You get out and we see you discreetly exiting the lagoon between 2 rafts. And
it's got to be the sun has got to have gone down at this stage, so it's moonlight coming into the water and 3 figures swimming up with air bubbles sort of going up with them through the cyber kit.
And out of their pack they draw their dinner jackets and they head off through the floating favela. I wonder whether we've got a bit of time, so I'm content to have a scene that involves Karthik and a scene that involves interrogating this data, if that would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Who's best placed to interrogate Karthik? Largely that's about, I think, sharp, good cop, or shady, good cop, or force, intimidatory cop.
I can do the intimidatory cop, but analyzing data is not my forte. And also somebody would need to tell me what we want to know from this guy.
Okay. Well, I think then you may be the bad cop in this
Yeah.
setup.
Yep.
Chris, what role do you see having in this?
If we want to go in with it, so we're going to interrogate this guy. Are we going to play good cop, bad cop, and then it's a setup for somebody else to? How do you see it playing out, Nestor? Or do you just want to hammer the bloke yourself?
No, I don't want to hammer the bloke. I just want to threaten the bloke. As a
And-
player, I'm not comfortable with torture, and so
Well,
I'd
look, I
rather we
mean,
don't
there's
do that. But I
intimidating
can
him by
intimidating is
presence.
fine. Intimidating is fine.
And I treat
yes.
that as find an angle
Mhm.
in order to generate an advantage
Mhm.
for our good cop who might
Yeah.
be using sharp or shady.
Sincere?
I go with sincere, yeah.
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the best cop.
Mhm.
Okay. So and then
You
I'll
can see
allow
Paul. You can already see Paul looking through. How do I get all of my XP
Yeah,
track?
he
You know,
is-
like
he is the
it's so
ultimate
predictable.
mechanical genius. Which has its upsides, which I'll cover as a star later. But and then I'm very happy to go a bit meta, so that the questions, the answers you get, come via Rillisk.
I
Yeah.
think that you know, in the interrogation thing, you know, like Rillisk is, you know, says to them both, I can't even be in the same room with him. He killed my friends. We trusted him. They were supposed to protect us. We were supposed to be seeking truth. And then when I discovered it, he looked me in the eyes and he said, "Who did I tell?" And I killed them all.
Oh, so he's an asshole. Okay.
He is.
Okay.
So yeah, and that we may deal with his fate next time or later today. But Nestor, let's have you find an angle
Yeah.
using your force. Roll with
Yeah.
force to intimidate
Okay.
him.
Yeah. Oh, it's a 6. So
Oh, dearie me. So
probably
on,
my power armor glitched on the
yeah,
exactly wrong moment.
on a 7+, no, 7, you fail. The GM describes the cost of failure. I think the cost of failure is going to be a narrative one, I think. Let's see if the dice will offer me some inspiration. That's a 2 and a 4 or a 4 and a 2. 2, 4.
Or do you want to place me at disadvantage?
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, that's the other one I'm wondering about. Yeah, I've got an option of technology betrays you, and I think that it is the fact that you stress that power armor and so you know the mic goes and you kind of jitter and freeze. And yeah, let's create an advantage for them, which is a disadvantage for our good cop.
Yeah, sorry.
Damn
That damn
have to
fish.
come in with a
fish.
sack barrow, sort of tilt Nestor back and wheel around. Sorry about that.
I know. I think I think he can disengage from his armor, but
So
he's
this is convince compel for him to talk. And
I am going to use
disadvantage.
sincere.
Yeah.
But I'm going to lay a bag of money that I found earlier.
Spend some cred.
Spend some cred. So I was at disadvantage.
Cancelled.
Cancels out. I will reduce my cred back down.
Are you bribing him, or are you buying something to do?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, why haven't you not laid in some scopolamine?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, the truth serums, you know, or like maybe just a hearty amount of the local moonshine.
Yeah, I think that's nicer than a bag of money. So go for it. 2d6 flat. Oh, plus sincere, rather.
Flat.
Is that just a 6?
No, I'm rolled.
Oh, it's right.
8.
8. On an 8, they'll do what you want so long as you won't put them in any risk of physical, emotional, or social harm. You'll need to do something. Demonstrate any threat is serious, except that their cooperation comes with a complication. I think there's going to be a complication. I think that Mantis, the organization, is going to to know that, because that scaffolding came down, didn't it? And drew some attention of you to you and him. And I think that they will find out that the Fortitude is involved in.
Yeah, I mean, I can't harm this guy because that was one of the mechanics
No,
there.
exactly.
So he's clearly going to run his mouth.
I already filed a report. You know, I tracked Rillisk. But you think that you're hidden from me? You landed on the logs from the Fortitude. Fortitude is, on our radar. Rillisk. We know where Rillisk is hiding now.
We know where you live.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. But he will, and I guess in this tirade about Rillisk, he is going to spill something. Now, again, I'm very happy to go meta here and ask the table, what is it that we most want him to spill?
I'm going to sit out this. Not really to do with me.
My proposal is that Agent Mantis, Asset Mantis in the RGA, is actually, a working name, right, for a unit. It's not a single person per se. And it is indeed the Maintenance Guild's intelligence services have co-opted an RGA unit, basically, have subverted it. And, they came to them with the offer of technology, this great super weapon that would completely change the RGA's need to, because the RGA already run all the infrastructure, right? But now the theory is that they can turn that infrastructure into a weapon. And these savages, would you let them, people like this, as he spits and points out at the planet, because I think the Maintenance Guild are largely a bunch of elitist arseholes. And the RGA have some tendencies towards that as well.
Well, yeah, let's see. They are waiting for a prophesied leader, and they are about containing rivals. So, yeah, I think knowing that every Ringgate is a potential planet buster would be quite helpful if they could use some of the technology on the Steel Moon to alter the way that Ringgates work. Oh my God, what a cluster-wide plot.
Yeah.
It is in fact a clusterfuck.
And there's no way that could backfire and turn into everybody in the cluster dies. It's altered,
that's clearly there's a Black Ops section of in the RGA that hasn't necessarily thought this through. But they never do they? So yeah, we get that. And then Rillisk, what do you get from the data and paperwork that you pulled from the Nautilus? I mean, I would quite like to run that as a hypothesis on the basis of
sure.
Yeah, because that's the only player move we've not seen used.
Yeah. Hypothesis. It has a source or origin. I think it's pointing us to the next step in our mission, and I think it's going, it's going to be again, because this was like the comms hub, this was where the Whisper received orders, and they could track other operations that were going on, and the growth of other targets for the missile strikes and for other things of interest. And I think that she looks at all of this. Maybe there is maybe it points. I don't know. Are we interested?
Well,
in going to the
shall we see
Moon?
where you get? Shall we see where you get?
Yeah.
Because you're going to roll plus sharp here, because this is analyzing. Because this move has changed as well. This is now analyzing data or direct experimentation. So you're on the data.
Yep.
Let's have you roll plus sharp.
If only I had a cred. Can other people spend cred?
Not for you, no.
No, I didn't think so.
You've used up your credit and credibility.
Well, that is 8.
Okay. So on a 7+, the GM will provide you with information relevant to your hypothesis, and you have advantage to exploit it. On 7 to 9, the GM picks an inconvenient truth. There's an unhelpful faction entanglement, a backstory entanglement that might make you or someone else vulnerable, a risk you'll need to face now or later unless you back off and leave. I don't think the last one applies. I'm very content for you to tell me what you want.
Okay, I mean, what this suggests to me, and I don't know if it's a thing that we want to do in next session or the session afterwards, whatever, right? Is that we've done a little tour of the cluster, right? We've been to Gallus. So the only people that we haven't been to is the Horizon and the Maintenance Guild, and we've managed to tie it all back into the Iron Moon. Maybe the Steel Moon. Maybe it's the Steel Moon. You know, maybe like we visit a very high-tech place, and the Steel Moon is, you know, like the base of like the place we have to go to. Or I'm happy to do anything else. I'm just suggesting.
I just wonder whether the trail leads to the Steel Moon, but you're going to need some help because you're persona non grata there.
Oh yeah,
you're going to need some help to get to that system and get access to the moon.
Yeah.
And where could you find a bunch of fixers
and smugglers who might be able to change the Fortitude's transponders and like help us?
We have a relationship with Chris McPatrick.
Yeah. That sounds perfect to me. Yeah. So and I mean that's the backstory entangle that makes us vulnerable.
And so if we're looking at another 2 sessions, I think that what we've sketched out here is a narrative arc that takes you to the Iron Wreath in search of Horizon support, and from the Iron Reach to the splintered Iron Wreath to the splintered Wreath in an effort to get into or at the Steel Moon. How does that seem as a development of our findings today? And now we know that we have the Maintenance Guild's intelligence service who have a bead on you, and we know that the RGA is or aspects of the RGA are in cahoots with them. Yeah? Oh, you are muted, Paul.
Next week's Rogue One, final week is episode 4. That's how we're seeing it.
I'm not so happy with Rogue One because that doesn't end too well.
Doesn't help. New characters for the final session. So no, I think that works beautifully, and that I think is what everyone watching wants to happen and knows now is going to happen. So let's do end of session XP. Now then, so did my backstory, was it relevant for good or ill? So let me start off with our new character, Chris McPatrick. Backstory?
I think my backstory was because I've been on this planet for a long period of time. It then allowed the setup with the cosmonaut.
And it provided a neat intro for that character, which was very neat. Well done. I championed an ally or helped them take center stage.
I came up with a moon pool and that we need a method to get down there, and also the scaffolding incident. I think that played to a lot of other characters' strengths.
For me to anticipate a star, I was thinking, why has he put a moon pool there? So you can have 2. What about Nestor? My backstory is relevant. Oh, how was it?
Yeah, kinda, yes.
And I guess in our closing titles, we will see Red running, maybe having to break through some of the barriers at the RGA ground station in order to get to the shuttle. So certainly an XP for that. I champion an ally or help them take center stage.
I championed us all to get to the thing, the submersible.
Yeah, you turned at bay. And wrestled with a snag shark.
I did.
You get 2 XP for the session. And Dr. Rillisk.
3 XP.
My backstory did come up.
It did.
I don't think I particularly championed an ally or helped.
Didn't you help someone?
I helped people a lot, but I'm not sure. Like in terms of, I mean, largely I was like, Paul, can you please roll this thing because your character is better at this than mine.
But and if that is not encouraging them to take center stage, I don't know what is. An aid
Yeah.
and ally is that.
Yeah. And also, this session was when I finally crossed off all of my boxes, and I'm only one away from crossing them all off again.
There you go.
So I have got my first advancement, which I will have to take ahead of this, which is useful.
And just so you know, the improvements are much more straightforward. There are 4 improvements for each career, right? So when you hit the drop down, you will see none of that stat at greater than 0 or whatever it was. That's too complicated. So I have allocated all of those and others to the careers. So anything that matches your career is now available. So each of you should be able to find 8 relevant improvements to choose from. Or you can improve the ship.
I would like to get another. Yeah.
Well, remember,
let's move on to stars and wishes for that period.
You do have some cash in hand at this point.
Yeah.
So that might open the box on paying for an upgrade before when next time round. And where better to get it than where fixers can provide you with a variety of equipment and gear. Put that to one side. So yeah, stars and wishes. I think we're at if XP is sorted. Let me start. Sabine, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, sure. Lots of stars, lots of wishes. I like the new character coming in. I like that he's an older guy. I like the style. That was a lot of fun. Seeing him going to the card game. And I love Dr. Rillisk and her personal entanglement with this Mattis guy. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I loved the adventure. It felt very kind of action movie-y, like with a whole infiltration via moon pool and stuff like that. That was fun, and I love the fish. So.
And I have to say, I'm very pleased the way that Just Do It now works. Because I thought that was really nice the way that now you can get everybody else on the wagon, so to speak. Any wishes for next time or later in the series?
No, I got to use Shady, so I'm good. I'm good. I mean, I might want to take some stress at one point because I took another additional stress box. So yeah, but
you need to roll less 10s.
Oh, I didn't roll a lot of 10s.
Just tying my hands.
I fought a fish, okay?
You did fight a fish. Yeah.
And I failed, so...
Yeah.
It had a freaking laser beam!
I mean, it must be said that power armor does set you up to succeed in these things. But anyway, so big danger, big threat, I'm writing down as a wish. Because maybe you're feeling a little bit too invulnerable, or I've made your equipment too good. I don't know. Will, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, I thought the whole thing came together, largely due to the aid of our investigator. A staffer was managing to make this conspiracy sort of fit together with everything. As we were playing this, I was like, of course, we're going to, when do we not play? And it turns out to be a big conspiracy. We can't just like be a crew smuggling stuff.
I mean, it's almost like it's a dark conspiracy.
Yeah, some sort of dark conspiracy in dark space, right? Like, yeah. The fighting a shark was probably my highlight, to be fair, of it all. I think wish-wise, I really, really, really enjoyed the space combat that we had. I would like to do some stuff that involves using the ship, like flying through a dangerous space or like having to do some EVA shenanigans, but spacey things. I like being on the planets, but I'd like to do some spacey things as well in the next 2 sessions.
Well, I'm looking at the splintered reach. It is not splintered for nothing.
Exactly. Yeah.
One garden, several hostile or lethal worlds, and I'm thinking there's an awful lot of debris around that moon.
Yeah, and who knows the tips that we will get from the fixers and smugglers who will be like, oh yeah, if you go through like the whole Millennium Falcon going away with the garbage, right? Like that kind of thing. Like And if there's a fight, I really enjoyed the fight as well. But you know,
Fair
doesn't
enough.
have to be. But yeah, that's my
Fair.
major one. Because I am looking at my upgrade. I also, is it okay if I just sit on my improvement and choose it in play? Because
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't say when you have to cash them in. It just says when they're full, erase them and pick a what's it.
yeah. One thing I wanted to note as like system feedback is the gear is a good thing. I like now that the engineering electronics kit is condensed into one thing rather than two
Only
separate
for
ones.
you.
Only for me, yeah, but yeah, that which is but the one thing that I've been thinking is that I like declaring kit, um, declaring carrying 3 when you leave the ship. Um, I would kind of
Prefer to do
uh,
that while you're out there.
yeah, more like the Blades Dark Conspiracy,
Yeah.
like you can declare up to 3 when you leave the ship, but like because otherwise I took the med kit because it seemed the most sensible thing to bring with me on or whatever, right? But it didn't really come up. And whatever I take with, like the laser drill, I'm gonna have to really know that I'm gonna have to drill through something to carry the laser drill around with me everywhere,
No, I take your point. I think I've got halfway there. I think the next step is probably to declare 3 in play.
Yeah.
And that's your 3 until you go back to the ship and then start again.
Yeah, there could be like a tag maybe for stuff that you have to declare before you leave the ship. Like, because I mean, just if like for example, like the power armor, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
fair
feel
enough.
like wearing the power armor, and I agree with Sabine, of course, that if you've got power armor, you should be wearing it everywhere you go. That's the point of having power armor, right? But like, like something like obvious, or you know what I mean? Like some
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah,
thing.
I think that's fair. Memorable or or disadvantage. Yeah, I think you're right. There are certain bits of equipment
Or
that you
even just armor. Maybe just armor is just a
has
thing
a
you have to, because it's part of your appearance, right? As opposed to a thing that you've not been carrying around.
Maybe you can declare some things to be heavy or heavy basically, because if you're carrying around something that's heavy, that's noticeable. If you have a like a super large electric drill that is not like the hand drill, but like then
fair
you
enough.
would have to declare that before, because people would notice you lugging around this
and
huge thing.
they almost have a narrative impact of just being in the scene, don't they?
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting idea. Thank you for that. I think obvious is probably a simple tag to add to some of those. Fine. And last but not least, Paul, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, I really loved the scene with Nestor and a creche brother, sister. I thought that was a damn good bit of RP. And I mean, Will Storm of Thunder a bit by going before me. The Tarzan underwater fight scene I thought was very good. Will's cyberpunk breathing apparatus. I thought that really sort of crowned it off. Will, that was a damn good bit of RP there. Good to see. And I think, as Sabine had said earlier, or maybe you said it, Alan. I had a lot of sort of James Bond, Moonraker. I don't know what the one with the Lotus car is underwater. I can't remember that one, but it's that was a good blend of sort of Pirates of the Caribbean and a Bond movie, sort of a Bond cyberpunky sort of thing. Really liked it, and I think adding on to what both Will and Sabine said, I'd probably put a tag on things, tech or low tech. So if you're in a society, some things are just going to stand out a hell of a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Because what I've currently got is downtime auto fix, which means that it's simple, relatively primitive stuff that you can bang back into shape. But maybe it is about low and high. I've got prototype in for the highest tech stuff available to the tech.
I think that The auto fixing probably covers it, because I think that like it's fairly obvious, and also we are flying around in a spaceship. By definition, our entire engagement with every planet we land on is one of a higher tech than most of them are, because we are space freebooters. You know, like so, like
Yeah,
when we land, when we
once
come
you
in our
get through
ship,
that RGA sort of customs
yeah,
thing, certain people are going to blend in a bit more than others.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
an interesting
How do
way.
you blend in sort of mechanically, or are you at some kind of disadvantage if
Yeah,
you don't try to disguise it?
yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, turning up for a knife fight with a shotgun in a sort of.
a way around that may be because I've used auto downtime fix or downtime auto fix for stuff like replenishing your stim pack or your med kit, which is different from banging your low tech armor back into shape because somebody dented it. So maybe there is a distinction here between low, which means what it means, and it brings with it the characteristic of a low tag is it's an auto fix. Because there is something about that. I want to try and stay clear of tech levels. You know, the ancient traveler in me is attracted by
tech levels never work any.
yeah.
It's just,
I mean,
you
you
know, this
can't
is half
imagine
a
how
way or the
close
other
I
way.
am to law levels.
Yeah.
I'm teetering on the edge of law levels, but it's just no. How
I
to
don't think this one's
artificially
going to fix overnight, Alan. This requires a bit of a think, because you know lots of people weighed in with different things. You know, I'm sure you'll ponder it for many an iteration of the game
Oh
before you
yeah,
get.
yeah. No, I'm banking on the end of February, because you know I can do this on my own. I don't need an artist for the cover. So that's all good. Really helpful. Stars from me, Paul. Thank you for hitting the ground running. It always happens, and also thank you for focusing on the rules. Yeah, because it is about spotting how do we get from A to B in an interesting way. And you know that the moon pool is a classic example. I thank you for that. Um, Thank you to you, Will, for giving us enough narrative direction to bring our plot together in what is a reasonable amount of time. And yes, Sabine, thank you for Nestor Red and Nestor Green. And is there a Nestor Amber out there that I need to have in mind?
Oh, there's at least there's lots of
Oh
colors. I
wow,
think the
the rainbow
highest,
Nestors.
yeah, the highest one is black, the one with the most potential. And I think the gray ones are the lowest on the totem pole. There are several in between.
And Nestor White never makes it to adulthood.
Yeah, well, no, they don't raise people who wouldn't make it to adulthood.
Enough
So,
said. No,
yeah.
I really enjoyed playing
Mhm.
Red, I must say. So thank you for that. It was good to have the table tennis going.
Yeah, let's see what's going to happen with her. I'm curious about that, actually.
And
So
yeah,
that might be a wish to see what happens to Nestor
yeah,
Red.
I did wonder whether we wanted Red, you know, with a Red, you know, and I'm sure I got a complication in the book that says someone you trust betrays you. Dun dun dun. So we are on time for a finish. Let us finish, but I will ask you, can I post this recording? I thank you very much.